It's winter. Not quite winter, almost November. Here in Michigan, leaves are falling. It's almost freezing this morning. And it's time to switch over to winter mode. As you can see in the background, my trusty truck camper sitting there waiting for winter. Now I want to protect it for the winter, so I'm going to put a tarp on top of it. Worked hard to get that camper so I can use it, and I don't want it to be ruined this winter. So I'm going to put a tarp on it just like I did last winter. I'm going to put that on top of my truck. The truck and the camper both will not be used all winter unless I go to Florida. And then it's just a matter of taking the tarp off and sticking it back on my truck. In the background you're going to see how I store my topper. I got tired of having to go get a neighbor to help me put it on and take it off. And I'll show you what I did to solve that problem. Just across a couple of stumps. And now I can back up and just slide that on myself, slide it on and off without any trouble. So that's going to go on top of my truck. I'm going to put this tarp on it and get it ready to sit here all winter, or till at least till March. Usually at about around March I'm ready to get out of the cold, so I usually slide that back on my truck. A couple of things you might notice here while I'm looking at it. When I first got this top, every time I drive it down, actually I took it to Maine, and every time a truck would go by my truck, it would just shake violently. So I'd drive around about 60 miles an hour and try not to get behind or beside big trucks. And I found by accident that if I move this back just the width of a 2x4, I put this up there to go up against the bed of the truck, it leaves a little more space right in here to let the air out. The air was actually getting caught in there and just shaking the truck. This made a huge difference. Increased my gas mileage, made it easier to get in and out of the truck. So that's my project for the day. Get the tarp on it, get it sealed up, get that top put on my truck, and I'm going to start driving my my RAV4 this winter. It's four-wheel drive. My truck is not. Alright, that project is finished. If you see the top, I put these those bumpers like you put alongside a boat. I have them, so I stuck them up on top, 3 of them, one in the very center. That way the snow will slide off of there. Now it's pretty safe. Well, now that the camper is ready for winter, I'm going to get the truck ready. These tie-down brackets are bolted into the stake holes. See there, bolted there. All I got to do, these are threaded inside, so all I got to do is take off these 5/16 bolts, and I'll throw those in the camper, that way I can find them. I marked it left rear. Notice it's got spacers, the rear ones. Notice how this is made. We have to make up for this space right here. So you have to have a bushing in there. I just made them out of a piece of pipe. Front ones are not like that. So now I'm going to go under here and get the clamps off. The clamps out, I'm going to go ahead. I just threw them inside, so they'll be there when I'm ready. I'll take the ropes off of it, back up and slide it on. Okay, now I'm right up against it. Of course, this thing will slide back and forth, the topper will. It's just sitting on those 2x4s. I'll pick it up, get up inside there, pick it up, set it up on top of here on both sides, and then just slide it on. I got it sitting up there. When I pick up, I'll have all the leverage back here to help me. And if I'm real careful, I can slide it right on there. Okay, I got it just sitting there now. It's not up far enough yet, but I'm going to pull up so I can get underneath it. push it on up there, clamp it. That would be impossible without, I've tried it before when it was on the ground. It was insane. I had to get 4 people to pick it up. Yeah, I backed it up here. It's on a little incline. I did that so that helped me push it forward. It's not that heavy, but hey, why not make it as easy as I can? Now there's your clamps, clamped on, but I left out one very important step. I should have washed that window before I put it on the truck. I'm basically putting this on here to keep the snow and stuff out of the bed while it sits unused all winter. And I drove it down the road, doesn't squeak, doesn't wiggle, so it'll be good for the winter. Well, I just had my lunch. We had some leftover venison chili, actually, from the deer I got last year. That'll probably be the last deer we have in a long time. I lost my hunting spot, and I figure I'm too old to get a new one, so I'm just gonna. I kind of got tired of killing deer, actually, but I like to eat them. Anyway, so now after I got all the camper put to bed, I'm gonna pan around here and show you that I had to cut down a whole lot of trees this spring. We had ash borers go through here a couple years ago, and I had lots of ash trees. And I had some trees here I was afraid were going to fall on a building. So I'll show you some of the stumps here. They were all right here in one little spot that I cut down. So I'm just going to pan around here. This big ash, I dropped him first, cut it up. That was a big job. Dropped it over in here. But I had to wait this spring. I put my camper on and moved it out of the way, got everything out of the way. And before I put that topper on there, I cut those 2 down. I left the stumps up so I could, as you can see, I used it to hold up my topper for my truck. And there was another ash there, but we covered it up with the wood. And there was an ash. Still got the chain on it where I used it as a pulling point to pull these all down on top of each other. Actually, where I'm standing, I must have had about 6 or 8 ash laying here on top of each other, all folded up on top. There's another one. There was a couple over here to my left, smaller ones. And there was one right there. And there's where I cut one off, ground it down so I could run over with my mower. If you look around, there's see that little one there, that one's dead. I'm not worried about him falling, he's not going to do any damage. I've had a couple falls since, but not close to the buildings. And over here by the truck, I cut up some ash and winched them over into the wood so that they wouldn't hit my garage. But now I have all this wood to split. I took it apart and found that it already had been bored out 30 inches over. So I was kind of stuck, and I really didn't want to do anything with it. So I went and bought this 12-horse motor. This 12-horse motor right here out of about a 1980s Cub Cadet. That one over there is in the 60s. And I thought I measured, I thought that would fit. It's a 12.5, and that was supposed to be a 14 over there. But when I got it, tried to put it in that frame, it was just too wide. It just would not fit in that frame. And rather than cut the frame, I didn't want to cut the frame and pretty much ruin the tractor is what I thought. So I went ahead and got me some new 30-inch oversized rings, and I honed it out just enough to get the rings to seat. I didn't want to hone too much because I knew I was going to get piston slap, and I do have piston slap in it. But I went ahead and put the 30-inch oversized rings back in it, new ones, put it back together, and actually I've been using it ever since. It's got a lot more power than I need. As you can see, the way it transfers its power through a drive shaft coming off the flywheel here. This thing has hydrostatic. What I'm going to use, Just gonna clamp it on the hot, and start it up, and then let it run. These at the drugstore, wherever. These just happen to come with a little holder. I bought them one time when I was going to a drag strip. I've been using them since I worked in industry. But when I was a kid on the farm, I've never even seen these things. Drove tractors for hours on chainsaws. No cabs on the tractors. And then when I got in the Navy, I worked on aircraft. And we had to use those, we call them mouse ears, suppressors. But you didn't wear them all the time, and just the background noise was insane. In the Navy it was anyway. So anyway, now I have to wear a hearing aid. I take the hearing aid out, I put these in. That's an old Homelight chainsaw. I've always liked Homelight chainsaws. 33cc. It'll actually take a longer bar than this, but I got the same bar on it as I do my Echo, so everything fits interchangeably. Well, here we go. Whenever I cold start a 2-cycle engine, no matter what it is, if it has a primer, I prime it till it gets to feel a little bit of gas going through there. Pull out the choke all the way. Turn on the ignition. Then I'll pull it until it pops. Once it pops, then I take the choke off. I don't want to flood it. 2 cycles are terrible once you flood them. It's a mulberry tree. Pretty cool how it's got red in it, huh? Yeah, that was one that had to be moved. Knock down one of these other ones. I think it's a mulberry anyway. It smells like mulberry.